Can you use a late 2012 Mac Mini, the server edition, in 2019? I'm Scott with Techno Eclipse, and we're going to get into all of that after this. First, don't forget to check out the Patreon and all the other links down below. If you support the Patreon, you get the podcast episodes a week in advance, and you also get a secret behind-the-scenes video if you pay for the top tier of the Patreon. And also, don't forget to check out the forum. Don't forget to hit subscribe, hit like if you've never been here before, and if you have been here before, thank you, as always, for coming back. So can you use a late 2012 server edition Mac Mini in 2018? Well, I actually recently purchased one of those for $300 here locally in the great state of Ohio, and I was able to plan it for a little bit, and these are my thoughts. Well, it's fine, but it's older. So one of the biggest negatives with this Mac Mini is the cooling and what they had to do in order to cool it. So it's the Mac Mini server edition, but it's running an i7, and it's a mobile i7. Even though most servers are running Xeon processors, it's still considered a server because you can like link up multiple of these with like some type of Intel magic that you can't normally do with like an i7, i5, i3. You would need to have a Xeon based processor to run multiple together, but there's some type of magic that you could do. I'll have it right here once I figure out what that is. So as a server, it's fine. It's from 2012, so it's older, and the CPU is not socketed, so there is no potential upgrade. And the biggest problem is that it's running an i7 3615QM. That is a third gen mobile processor that's an i7. And that is really the biggest problem with this computer. When running some synthetic benchmarks, I was able to get around 11,000 on the multi-core side on Geekbench. And then when looking at the single core score, it was also again around like 3,000 to 3,500. So not terrible, but for a desktop, obviously not great. That mobile processor is one of the biggest hindrances of this computer. One of the benefits of this Mac Mini is the upgradable RAM and theoretical upgradable storage. The RAM is super easy to access. Mine had 16 gigabytes of DDR3 running at 1600 megahertz. That is the max amount of RAM you can put in here. You have to use SODIMM RAM, which is kind of weird, but it's fine. It's not like it's gonna affect it. It's weird that you have to use such small RAM on a desktop machine. But the main question is, can you use it? Well, obviously, it's a Mac, it runs fine, like it runs Mojave, it ran everything fine, there was no problems with it. But my biggest complaints are pricing, exactly what you get for your money, and Thunderbolt 1. So of course, as myself, and as I always like to do, I attached an eGPU, and ran a Vega 56 alongside of that. And when running the Bruce X benchmark, which is just this really hard render on Final Cut Pro, you turn off background rendering, and then you open up QuickTime, download this file, and then you export it. It's a really good benchmark to see just how powerful your computer is. It was able to run it in 1 minute and 30 seconds, which isn't bad. And that is with the Vega 56 attached to the Thunderbolt 1 port. But the problem is one, just how expensive that costs, and two is a MacBook Pro late 2013, one of my personal favorites, was able to export that same file in like 70 seconds, 75 seconds. So for the whole price that I would have paid for that Mac Mini, and keep in mind, I got really good deals on everything, $300 for the Mac Mini, the eGPU $150, and then the Vega 56 $250. So right there, you're looking at $700, which is like kind of the sweet spot for the late 2013 in America. And that comes with a 4th gen mobile processor, a worse graphics card, keep that in mind, but it also comes with a screen, a keyboard, a trackpad, and all of that stuff that a Mac Mini does not. And that's gonna lead me into my next point. The Mac Mini server edition is essentially just a mid-2012 MacBook Pro 15-inch right before they implemented the Retina displays. And the biggest problem with that is those are like the same price. These Mac Minis that I purchased, I bought for $300. I got a good deal. They go for around $500 on eBay. And the same computer essentially goes for like $500 to $600 on eBay. And with that 2012 MacBook Pro, you get the same i7 3615QM processor, 16 gigs of RAM. You still get 2 hard drive slots, albeit much easier to access instead of just the really difficult ones to access in the Mac Mini. And you also get a screen. You get better speakers, you get a mouse, you get a keyboard, you get way more stuff. You still get the Thunderbolt 1 capable port, you still get the Ethernet, USB Type 3, like you get all of those same things and a CD drive, actually, unless you were to take that out to put in an extra hard drive. But you get all those extra things, and you get a dedicated graphics card. The mid-2012 MacBook Pros 15 inches that come with the i7-3615QM come with a GT650M. While that's a crap graphics card, it's slightly better than the integrated graphics inside of the Mac Mini. So, should you buy one of these things? No. I'm going to say no. Unless you want a Mac server that's dead silent. If you were to look at some type of Xserve or even one of the older Mac Pros, like those big, bulky ones, the cheese grater ones that I'm a big fan of, you're not going to get the same quiet, small performance that you'll get out of this Mac Mini. But, like, in my opinion, you might as well just get a mid-2012 MacBook Pro 15-inch because it's the same computer for, like, the same price, and you get way more with it. Plus, the upgrading is much easier. So, in my opinion, I would probably lean towards just getting that. If you want to save some money, get a relatively powerful Mac. Like, that Mac Mini is totally usable, especially with Final Cut Pro. Running Premiere chokes up a little bit, keeping in mind this is a 3rd gen, poorly cooled mobile processor, but it was fine to edit my 10-bit 1080p video, shot at 30 frames per second from this GH5, and it was fine. Like, it was a fine computer, but, like, my biggest problems were there was no keyboard, no trackpad, no mouse, no screen. Like, it's BYOB, but whatever. BYOTKMM. You know what I mean? It's like, bring your own whatever they said. But it's like, in my opinion, it's not worth it. It seems like you're paying a lot of extra money for something that is essentially the exact same as a different computer, and they both run Mac OS. This is even like, oh, you could buy like a $50 computer, link above here, with an i7-3770K and a GTX 660 that's gonna kill that thing. It's like, that's not even the comparison. The comparison is apples to apples, and the Apple with the MacBook Pro is a way better option, way smarter, a way more cost-efficient option, and honestly, like, it's portable too. You get all of the advantages that the Mac Mini doesn't allow you to have, and you still get it in a relatively small form factor. Like, a laptop is not big. Even those older ones, while they got a little bit of chunk on them, they're not big by any stretch of the imagination. So those are my thoughts on the late 2012 Mac Mini Server Edition. It's a really interesting computer for $300. It was really good. I had to buy it. And honestly, I think that if you were to find one at that price, it's an interesting idea. But again, I just really think you should look at the mid-2012 MacBook Pro 15-inch, because if you just are comparing pricing and the actual specs, they're the exact same on almost every single category, and you also get a screen, keyboard, mouse, trackpad, and you get pretty much the same amount of ports, although you get slightly more on the Mac Mini, but you also get portability with the MacBook Pro. So what are you guys' thoughts? The old 2012 Mac Mini Server Edition was actually the last server that Apple technically ever made. Some people run the 2013 Mac Pro as a server, and I'm sure some people will be running these new Mac Minis as servers, but technically this was the last server Apple ever made, which is kind of cool, kind of a little piece of history. But I'm interested to know what you guys think about it. Thanks again for watching. I know I took a few days off, but I think I'm back. I'm ready to go, and hopefully you guys, I got some good content planned that you guys will like. Alright, thanks again for watching. Also, I got a new microphone coming in. Super pumped about that, so that way this audio will sound super crispy coming up here pretty soon. Alright, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to check out the podcast linked down below, and don't forget to give me a 5-star rating on whatever app you're using. Alright, thanks again. Peace out.